Classroom tree. Today I am here to show you how to make a tree for your classroom. It is a great addition for any library or just to make your room a little more homey.
Hi, we are in Henderson, Nevada at James Gibson Elementary. We are here today to help my mom build a tree in her classroom. Here we go.
Okay, so a tree for your classroom or your classroom library is super easy to do. It looks a lot harder than it is, and you only need a couple of things. For one, a stapler, brown paper. This is from Lakeshore. It's fadeless. I like to use the school bulletin board paper just because it has brown on both sides. The one from Lakeshore, it only is brown on the one side, so it'll be a little more difficult, but we're gonna make it work for today. And then for the leaves, I use tissue paper. I get these from Party City. They have both like the dark green and the light green. And here we go. You want to start by rolling out the paper for the trunk. You want to make sure it is long enough for the height you are trying to go. Plus you want some extra if you plan on braiding the tree. If you just want a single trunk, you will not need any extra length on it, but if you want to braid it like I will show you how to in the video, you want to make sure you have that extra length in the paper so that you have room to braid and kind of poof it out if you would like to. You will need to do the process of rolling it out 3 times so that you have enough pieces to braid. Next comes the fun part of crumpling up the paper. In this video in particular, because of the paper I used was only one-sided with brown, I actually rolled up the paper first and then crumbled it, and I kind of will pick one side and crumble it down just by squishing it together. Usually I don't do the rolling part first and I kind of just will crumple the paper together, but since this was only one-sided, I kind of rolled it up first and then I kind of crumpled it from one side to the other. I do the crumpling just because I feel like it gives it more of a realistic look, and it makes it not so stiff, and it kind of gives it a cool look once it's braided, which you'll see. Alright, now we got the 3 pieces and it's time to braid. To braid, first I gather the 3 pieces together and I will usually staple the bottom of it. This kind of just helps me be able to keep in place. And if you put the 3 pieces in front of you like I have pictured here, I kind of will put my knees on the bottom of it, and this way it kind of helps you maintain and not lose them. It makes it easier to braid and kind of holds them in place. To braid, you would just take the right side and you put it over the middle one, and then you go to the left side and do the same, and you kind of just keep switching off on both sides until you get all the way up. If you finish braiding and you find that your tree is shorter than you would have liked it, you would just kind of start the process all over with a new piece. Roll out 3 new pieces of paper, cut them, crumple them, and then braid them again, and then you could easily just add the 2 pieces of the trunk together. The process for the branches are the same exact thing. You want to figure out how many branches you would like. I typically always start with 4 at least, and then I find myself kind of adding 1 or 2 if I kind of want to make it look a little more jungle-esque. But it's completely up to you. You might find that as you add the leaves, you might want to add some more branches, so it doesn't hurt to have 4 to 6 on deck ready to go. It is the same process like I mentioned as the trunk, so what you would do is just make the paper that you roll out a little bit shorter because the branches don't need to be as long or too long. It kind of just depends on the area and width that you're trying to put your tree in. You will roll out the paper, cut them to the length that you want the branch. You could roll them and crumple them up, and you will kind of repeat the process for as however many branches that you would like. Next comes putting up the tree trunk. I literally just plop it against the wall in the corner that I'm going to put it in, and then I staple the top of it. I'll staple a side here and there, and then I'll kind of staple the bottom. Super simple. Next comes putting up the branches. I start on one side and I will place the 2 branches. Sometimes I like it to be like branches longer on the top, sometimes I like it to be branches longer on the bottom. It's kind of your own personal preference, and you could play with it a little bit and see. The branches you typically don't really see except maybe the edges. I like to make my trees like really puffy and poofy and filled with leaves, so usually when I'm finished with my tree you really can't see the branches, but it's kind of up to you. I've known like some people to kind of change it per seasons, and maybe they won't do as many because they'll kind of add different artwork that the kids do over time. When I taught kinder, I like to make my tree seasonal, where at the beginning of the year I had apples. Come October, I would maybe have like bats, and you could kind of change it season by season as it goes. So it's completely up to you with what you want to do with your tree, but the next part is definitely putting up all those branches. Now that the branches are done, it is time to start filling up your tree with some leaves. To do this, I think about if I were going to wrap something into a gift bag. So you take the tissue paper, you pinch it in the middle, and instead of putting it into a gift bag, you just staple it onto the tree. I usually start with the middle of the tree, right where the trunk ended, and I kind of fill up that middle part first, and I will alternate between a dark green and then a light green. I staple it right where I had pinched it, and then after the middle, I kind of move out into the branches. And sometimes I will staple it above the branches, sometimes I'll staple it below the branches. I even staple it sometimes like on the branches just to kind of give it that little bit of a 3D effect. Once the middle is all filled up, I will kind of pick one side to kind of choose from, and I will tend to fill up the majority of that side and then move on to the other side just so I can kind of make sure that they're even as I go. And that's it. The tree is done. I added some cute little owls to the tree. My mom does a owl theme in her room. And I just used fishing line with paper clips and kind of hung it from the ceiling. But there we go. Classroom tree. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make a classroom tree. Be sure to follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Hero in Heels. And subscribe below. Until next time, bye!